So in this workshop, we're going to teach you the best hacks and skills business networkers have discovered to get the most out of Zoom for their meetings and webinars. Zoom really has become an incredible tool for all of us in network marketing to prospect and grow our teams. It's easy to set up and configure. It also is easy on the bandwidth, and it's got a great app for your phone and your PC. The question is, are you taking full advantage of its features? And in this workshop, we want to teach you these skills so that you can have smooth, polished, non-chaotic meetings. Anyone here been on a meeting with, their team, or you've done the meeting and it's gone off the rails? Or who here has seen that video of the gang in England? They're like a town council trying to have a Zoom meeting, and it's so chaotic that it turned into like a comedy show. So what we're going to talk about: biggest challenges, how to deal with them, features you need to know about, leveraging Zoom's mobile app, which Zoom plan to choose, plus much more. And let's start off with talking about the biggest challenges and how to deal with them. So where people tend to struggle is getting people into a meeting. And there's actually several ways that you can invite someone to a meeting. And one of the ways is you can just give someone the Zoom link. So the easiest way to do it is to just paste a link to Zoom in an instant messenger chat, or send it to them in an email. So all they have to do is click it and go in. That's it. There's also a way that you could get people into Zoom by actually taking them to Zoom's website. And this is an important one to know, because maybe you don't have them on instant messenger, or you don't know their email address. Maybe you're talking to them over the phone. So you would just go to Zoom, and then up in the top, this is where you'll see join a meeting, and you'd click on that, or have them click on that. And you see this is the URL. So if you ever need to just read it off, it's just zoom.us/join. And this is where you give them your meeting ID. Now you'll notice it says meeting ID or personal link name. So like for us, we're on Zoom's enterprise plan, and many of you are on Zoom's enterprise plan. Your link name is going to be, like, for example, for us, it's Your Freedom Project. So you could get, this is sort of what we term as vanity URL. You could get your own name there. So maybe, your name is, you just pop it in there like that. Okay, so that way it's easy for people to remember. Some people may just use a phone number, but it's not so easy for people to remember phone numbers unless they phone you a lot. So that's the beauty about having a plan in Zoom where you can modify that link name to be your own name. Now that's if it's your quick meeting where people are just going to hop in any old time. If, however, it's a scheduled event, like a scheduled meeting or a scheduled webinar, you cannot use a personal link name. So in that case, it is going to be some sort of a number, and you'll have to read it over to the phone to them, or somehow give them that ID. So that's the one thing to consider with that. So this isn't click a link and hop in. You need to know, or they need to know, your attendees need to know what is that ID. And that ID, by the way, can be found here. So when you've created a meeting, you'll see it says meeting ID. So this meeting is a scheduled meeting. It's not what's called our personal room. You'd see it there. If it's a webinar like tonight, you'll see it would be here, and people could type that in. Now, in this case, though, they have to register, so they can't just type that in and join. So we're going to talk about some of the user interface stuff a little bit later, but and I didn't want this to be an exhaustive inside of all these kind of details. Anyways, just give you guys kind of a basic tip on that. Then the other challenge people tend to have is with recording, running out of storage. So anyone here had that same issue where you tend to have to delete your stuff all the time? That is one of the most common challenges I have with people who record their meetings. Is you normally only get 1 gigabyte of space, so it does not take very long, and you will be out of storage space. And one of the ways to deal with that is either record locally so that it's not taking up any space in the cloud, meaning in Zoom's website. The other way to handle that is to upgrade your plan, like the enterprise plan, like we offer, and then you get unlimited recording. Another issue people tend to have is helping someone share their screen. And sharing is quite simple. We'll talk about that in the user interface in a moment. But we'll just skip through that. Audio video issues. This would be another one. Zoom interface or the video disappears. Share with me if that's a challenge for you. The easy way to deal with that is actually, you'll notice down in the taskbar, there'll be a little Zoom blue video camera, like right now, while you're on Zoom. If you suddenly, maybe you go to minimize this window watching this Zoom right now because you want to look at a web browser, or you need to do something, and then you can't figure out how to bring it back. It's going to be either in the clock on the lower right side of your screen, or it'll be in the taskbar down at the bottom where it's got the little Zoom camera. So that's something to keep in mind there. Okay, so of course, chaotic meetings, well, that's largely due to lack of planning and not having someone to help you moderate that. Okay, so what are some of the common mistakes using Zoom? First one is going to be camera position. So, we've all been on a webinar or a meeting where somebody's got the laptop really low, or they're on their phone or something, and you're staring up at their nostrils. The easiest way to handle that is, if you're on a laptop, just stick it on some books or a box, get it up higher so you're center screen. The next one is poor audio. Poor audio is just due to not having, a good microphone. And the best way to handle that is either to just get a decent headset like Plantronics or Logitech and keep it close to your mouth, or, buy yourself a decent microphone and keep it close enough to you. Just keep in mind when you have the audio on that you don't turn the audio, the mic, the gain up too high where it's very, it's like what we call like a hot mic. It's too noisy. So also no windows behind you, because you don't want light coming at the camera. You want light coming at your face, and the back should be darker, if anything, or lighting like the way you see my lighting, where it's sliding down. So it's not at the camera where you've got this dark, shadow in there. And then the other one would be background noise. Obviously it's annoying. You're on a webinar or a meeting and kids are running around banging, dogs are barking, things like that. So one of the handy things about using a headset is you can have a little toggle switch right on the headset to just instantly mute out. You don't have to use the mute in Zoom. But if you don't have that, keep in mind that you can mute if you're on a Windows machine with Alt-A. So if you want to just quickly toggle, you can use Alt-A for that. In a Mac, well, maybe my Mackers here could tell me what would be the version of that. And one way to do it is just put your mouse over the mute and it'll give you like a shortcut key for that. So the next question is meeting or webinar. And this is important because, most of you, well, let's maybe just find out if you could you, again, if you're brand new, and there you go. Angela is one of our brand new people out there. So shout out to you, Angela. Am I getting your last name right? Is it Nung? Or it could be Ning. Help me with that one. One thing that, if you could type in, what's the level of account that you guys have? What's the plan? Are you on Pro? Are you on Free? Or are you on the Enterprise plan? So that way I can just kind of address common issues with that. So anyone on Free or Pro, basically Pro means you're paying $15 a month, or that with a discount, something like that. Free is obviously free. So, okay. So if you're on Pro or down, basic and free are the same too, I believe. So, there will be no webinar feature. So just so you know, okay, you can only get the webinar module. The basic plan, just so you guys are clear. Well, we'll talk about plans later. So I'm not getting into that, but, All right. So Julianne is enterprise. Okay, great. Thanks for sharing. So Bonnie, Bonnie, you're probably on a pro with something added to it or something like that. Unless you're using, if you're with us, then you're definitely on enterprise. So there's a possibility of that. Yeah. So Denise, then you'd be on pro. So that's the $14 or $15 plan. Oh, there we go. Kristen's got it figured out there. So when do you choose meetings versus a webinar? Well, a standard Zoom meeting is fully interactive, and it's really designed for collaboration and participation. Whereas a webinar is what we're on right now. Do you notice how you guys, when you come in, you can't turn on your webcams, you can't start sharing your screen or annotating, or you're locked down, right? So it's really one-to-many. So this is the best for presenting. However, if you're doing like a weekly team meeting, if you have a smaller team, like you're in the 20s type of thing, then a meeting is better, because that way people can turn on their webcams, you can bring them in, and then it's just far more interactive. The downside of it is as the meeting can grow, unless you know how to do the settings from the back office, people come in and they have all this freedom to do whatever, and they won't mute themselves, or they keep unmuting, or they'll start drawing on the screen accidentally. And again, the meeting starts to go off the rails. The webinar, you don't have to worry about that, because you have to promote them to become what's called a panelist in order to speak. So they either got to be a co-host or a panelist in order to speak. So like for me right now, I'm a co-host. Our host is actually our producer, Anne, and she is the one that turns it on. Actually, in this case, it's kind of a mix of Anne and Kristen, because Kristen's running the live streaming. And we'll talk a little bit about having those wingman helpers in a moment. Yeah, kitty filters. There you go. So, yeah. So Julianne, you're also on the enterprise plan. So anyone who's paying $29.99 with us or $39.99, depending on what other products you have with us, you're going to be on enterprise. So Kristen actually came up with this analogy, and I thought it was perfect. And choose a meeting if you like the round table. So you want something like that. You want people on camera. You want to make it easy for attendees to talk. And you want attendees to just click a link and enter a room. You don't want them to register and worry about that. So the weekly event, or you're just meeting with a couple people, the meeting is just where it's at. That's why most people just have the meeting module. But choose a webinar if you want the TED Talk. So that's the big, the two versions there. So the round table for the meeting, or the TED Talk for the webinar. So again, webinar, if you only want the presenters on camera, you want to control when attendees talk, you want your attendees to register. Now, this is important. This is the big one for a webinar, is you want your attendees to register and have the system send reminder emails. That's the big one for a webinar, is the system will remind them, as many of you were reminded, to show up here tonight. Okay. Again, a meeting, if you want to stream live to Facebook, you've got that. Webinar, same thing. So that one, you don't have to pick one or the other when it comes to streaming. But again, webinar, if you want people who register to be added to your email marketing system so you can stay in touch with them, absolutely a webinar. So a webinar is the best strategy for list building, for helping you connect with total strangers, offer them something for free, like we are now, right? And they've registered for your webinar. That's going to put their name into your email marketing system, so you can then message them again in the future and invite them to other events, or promote an ebook you might have, or promote a product or something like that. Okay. So another thing with a webinar is, or when to choose a webinar, is if you want a green room where you can practice and then prep with your co-hosts and panelists before going live. You actually kind of have that with the meetings, in that you can, the meeting doesn't start, but people are just kind of like waiting to come in. Whereas the webinar, they call it turning on the broadcast. So it's done a little bit differently, but the webinar version is better, because you can have multiple people in there on different links. Whereas the only way you can have a couple people practicing beforehand with a meeting is they both access from your back office. So they're not using individual links. We'll just put it that way. Okay. So So like what we're doing now, webinar is absolutely the best, right? You guys can be multitasking and making noise and it's not disturbing anyone. Let's just talk about the features that you really need to know about. So we're just going to do kind of a quick run through of this, of the user interface. So you got to make sure that you're comfortable with the audio controls and the video controls, the chatting function. So I've actually right now got the little chat box over here on my third screen. And that allows me to see what you guys are saying. That's the beauty, by the way, of having a multi-monitor configuration, is that in my case, I actually am running right now with 3 screens. So on my my first screen, or I guess the screen on my left, that is what you guys see. That's the presenter screen. In the middle, I'm actually seeing the presenter preview screen. So I actually see 2 slides here. And I'll just take a screenshot if I could. I don't know if this will wrap all the way across. And then I'm going to share this with you guys so you can see what my, let's see if that will, there we go. That's what I see. If you guys can see that when I zoomed out. So the center screen, the beauty of that is this allows me, as you can see, to see what's the next PowerPoint slide coming up so that I can time things out and whatnot. And then on this screen, you can see there, I've got my chat going on. So that's the beauty of having a multi-monitor setup, okay? And you also want to be able to know how to send an invite link and screen sharing and virtual background. So let's do that in a minute. And sorry, I was just reading Ellie's message. Right on, Ellie's got multiple monitors. Maybe share with me if you could. Who here has more than 1 monitor? You're 2 or more. So I've got 3. There's days I wish I had 6 because especially if you're building things on, in software development and designing, always minimizing and 3. The thing that I love about 3 is that you can stare straight forward and you've got your 2 side monitors. If you do 2, you're always a little bit, your head's cocked a little bit one to the right or the left. You don't actually have a center screen. So that's the beauty about that. Or maybe you do run a center and then you just have 1 side. That would be the better way to do it than typically 2, if it's possible. So here in the office, every computer station we have all has multiple monitors. So, let's face it, this is an online business, right? So the more you can upgrade your technology, and luckily nowadays an extra monitor's, a couple $100 and you got a great monitor for your secondary. And every laptop can plug in a second monitor. You can use a FireWire if you're on a Mac, or you can, if it's an older laptop, you can use a VGA cable connection. The ones with the little pins, the little holes in there. The other one could be an HDMI cable if you're on a newer laptop. So super recommend that. Yeah, Joyce. So if you could, once you've got the second monitor, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. I even have a portable monitor so that when I travel, it's this little skinny thing. It's like a second laptop and it just fits right there. And I bring that with me when I travel. It fits in my pack sack. And that way I just pop it out and I got 2 monitors right away so I can travel the world and I'm still able to rock and roll. So highly recommend that. All right, so this is the view that you have when you're not sharing your screen. So if I was going to turn off share, this is what I would see if my camera was also off. Okay, so let's just take a minute and kind of walk through this interface here and help you with that. So the first thing up in this top corner, this is actually how I grab the invite link. It's the handiest way. And when I click on it, it'll have this little pop-up, and inside that will be it just says invite link. You just click it and it copies immediately in your clipboard and you can go paste it right away. So definitely the easiest way for me. It's like 1 click and then click again, done. Versus you could also go down at the bottom and click on participants and invite from there. You'll actually notice, I'll show you in a moment where that is. So, okay, you can go full screen here by clicking that, and that'll get rid of that little participants bar if you were to have that open. Now you'll notice as soon as you start to share though, then the visuals aren't the same anymore. I just wanted to share this. user interface before sharing them both to keep it short tonight. You'll see this is the participants panel here. And actually, if I was to hover over a participant, then you will see a more button. And then you can control settings such as muting, ask someone to turn on their camera, or you can turn their camera off, plus much more. Now, down at the bottom, you'll see these little three tiny dots. You can see that there. That allows you to do things like mute on entry. So that's very handy because that's where you're going to have a bit more global control of all your attendees. And then you can disable the waiting room. So what that is when you're doing a meeting, someone comes into the meeting, you can see whether you want to allow them in or not while you're doing the meeting. So that's handy if you don't want people just flopping in the meeting for some reason, and you want to make sure that you allow every single person in there. That was part of, like, you know, when people were talking about Zoom bombing last year, that's where that came from, is it makes it so that total strangers can't just find that link and hop in there. And that's what was happening. It's not that Zoom itself was being hacked. It's that people were just throwing these open links out there for the world to find. And then somebody would, you know, scour the web, find a link, and then jump into meetings like that. So you can enable or disable that. I've never been Zoom bombed, thankfully, so I don't worry too much. Normally when I fire up the meeting, I turn that off. This is another important one a lot of people don't realize is claim host. You see, if you're not logged into Zoom when you start your Zoom, then it'll actually just put you as a participant. You will not be seen as a host. So claiming the host, you'll have a little key code that is found here in your Zoom webinar. And I won't show it for the sake of not showing everyone my claim host ID, but if you go to your Zoom profile, then you'll be able to find your host ID. And it's actually even, now that I think about it, I can show you here because it'll be hidden. Down here on your profile, here we are. So you can see it's hidden. So that's where you'll find that. Okay. And that is the most bizarre little, looks like that must be, that's an icon for show or hide. Rather weird. I guess those are eyelashes. Okay. So I actually just have my little host ID key, well, memorized now. That way I can always hop in, and even if I'm not logged in, I can just become the host. So that's what you're going to find there. Over here is obviously you can mute everyone really quickly. Again, this is a meeting. I'm not showing you guys the webinar version. The webinar is almost identical to this though. And then this is, again, where you could invite people down here. So just go back. So that's here. Okay. But you've got to click the participants box and then you click that to get there. So that's the other way, like that. Then over here, this is where you'll stream live to Facebook or YouTube, or you could also use a live custom service for that. We won't even get into that. And then use this. This is what's called the breakout room. So I do not believe the Pro offers that, but I might be wrong. The enterprise plan we do definitely offers that. The beauty about the breakout room is you can be in there with, let's say there's 4 of you, and you want to talk about apples, and you also want your new person to learn about bananas. So you can open up a breakout room, and then 2 of them, you know, one of your team leaders goes in there with the brand new builder and talks about bananas while you're in the other room talking about apples. Okay, so that is the beauty of a breakout room. They're wonderful when it comes to tech support. So I will often use them. We're doing a meeting, we'll have a whole bunch of people in there. And then let's say some people are struggling with a particular issue, but I don't want to hold everyone else up. Then I will have one of my coaches break off. I will push certain people that are struggling into that breakout room, and then they go deal with that. So breakout rooms are great. Another idea with a breakout room is you could have a meeting and then have 3 or 4 breakout rooms. And in this room, you're going to talk about the business opportunity. In this room, you're going to talk about, say, sports nutrition. In this room, it's going to be cleaners. So there's something you can do like that. And if you're familiar with something It's like the product train where you could go in. They used to do it in the physical where you'd actually go into someone's house, and in each room of the house or certain rooms of the house, this room would be nutrition products, this room would be cleaners, etc. So that's how you could do that. Okay, that again comes standard with the enterprise plan that we offer. So you can also record to the cloud in Zoom's website. That's what the cloud means. If you're not familiar with that term, just means you're just recording to the internet, basically. Or you could choose to record to your computer. So again, remember, if you're not on an enterprise plan and you don't have unlimited recording or unlimited storage, then you're going to run out pretty darn quick. So recording to your own computer might be a better option. The downside about recording to your computer, though, is that you have to figure out some way. If you want to share that file with anyone, you've got to upload that somewhere. So you got to go like put it on YouTube, or you also have to convert it into a file that's actually viewable. And they're going to be fairly large files, and you got to figure out, where you're going to put that. You could throw it into a Dropbox, or it's kind of a hassle. So that's the downside with that. And then whatever, Google Drive or storage you're using, well, then that's going to have storage issues. So for me, again, that's the beauty of an unlimited storage option, is you just never need to worry about that, because you record it, you give people a link, and they can watch it. It's just done and done. Here's, of course, where you can share your screen. And I won't get into the different screen sharing options, as there's a few in there. Just click the green box and get going. But I will say this is important to know, is that when you click the screen share, if you are going to share a video, you got to make sure you check the little box that's going to come up that will say check, share computer sound. If you don't do that, then whoever's your attendee, they will not be able to hear what it is you are you're sharing. Okay, and then this is where you're going to get, again, that's the participant panel that opened up, the one that's over on the right there with the invite option. The little drop down arrow beside it, that also offers you can do multiple invites, like you could send an email through that, and so that's another way to invite. Okay, I just find the one up at the top corner in the little green security icon the fastest, because I tend to pretty much invite everyone through Instant Messenger. So, okay, then of course, this is where you can control your security settings, and then adjust your video settings, and then adjust your audio. And it's important to remember this, that you can select the microphone. The biggest challenge that I find with people is that they get in and the microphone is not in the headset. It's coming out of the webcam. So they sound very, very tinny, and they don't know how to change that. So it's that little teeny weeny arrow to the right of the mute icon that pops up a little menu and allows them to choose which microphone they want to use. I remember at my dad's birthday not too long ago, it took us like an hour to get him in, and that was it. They just had to go in there and select the proper microphone. So, okay. So here's a quick checklist for a polished meeting. One is have an agenda. Even if it's just a basic meeting with you and some, like a couple of your downline, this is what I do. I use something called OneNote. And I just go in there and make my notes. And I actually have one that's just for staff training. And then I will have a note like what I want to talk to Kristen about, for example, or someone else. And then when I go in there, we're not all over the place. I follow my checklist of what I need to talk about and get her done. Obviously, a PowerPoint presentation pre-made is the best, but not every meeting should have a PowerPoint, and it takes time to build a PowerPoint. So PowerPoints aren't necessary for a lot of meetings, but that is going to be the one that keeps you most on track, is a PowerPoint. But if not, definitely use an agenda. And again, that's the beauty of a multiple monitor, is I can have one monitor where I'm just talking to my team, and then the side monitors where I'm reviewing what it is that I'm trying to do here, so, or what I want to talk about. The next one would be to have a wingman to help you moderate. So when this is I think probably the most overlooked thing that people don't do, is they do a meeting and they don't ask anyone on their team to become the wingman. So all you do is, if you have obviously if there's 3 of you, I don't think you need a wingman, but if you have a meeting of 5 or more, have one of the people on your team, and they either volunteer or you volunteer for them, and ask them to be the wingman, and you make them co-host, and then they'll have the ability to go in and mute people. So they can be the one who mutes or turns off cameras or turns on cameras, or, well, they can't turn on cameras, but they can request someone to turn on a camera. Let them handle that. And then that way you just focused on the meeting. And that's the beauty of that. And then you're giving some responsibility to somebody. And, there's going to be a lot of people in your team. That'll be like the favorite thing they do in the business is they get to be, they get to stick on the name tags at the meeting or whatever. That's what they love to do. And you may find that they don't tend to build much, possibly, and that's their favorite thing. Or, obviously it doesn't always go with that, but people will enjoy that. So, but before you do that, have a meeting with whoever your wingman, wing woman might be. We call them wing nuts. Make sure they know what actually they would do. So give them, walk through. We actually have a checklist that we use in OneNote of what someone like that does. So right now, I have 2. So I've got Anne and, well, I have 3, sorry, at the moment. We've got Kristen, who's kind of like my coach, and then who will actually like speak with me. Then I've got actually Grace here in-house in the office. So she'll just help prepare things. And then we've also got Anne. And other than Grace, who's in the office with me now, we're all remote. And there you go. You can see Grace. So there's one of my wingmen. There you go, Grace. You can wave at everyone. There's Grace. So the beauty about that is that the presenter just focuses on presenting. Okay. Who here does that? You've got a secondary who helps you. They're going to love you for it. It's part of building your community. Anyone who's thought of that, or who just realized I'm going to do that now? Way to go, Ellie. Good for you. Okay, so it's also a great way to start handing over the baton, the mantle of leadership to someone, is rotate speaking responsibilities for your team. Okay, don't do it all yourself. Then you're not enabling people to learn what it's like to become a leader. So turn off your camera if you need to get up or you've got some distraction. So for me, have you been in those meetings where you'll see people laying on the bed or they're wandering around, and it's not so good for the meeting? So turn off those people's cameras. That's what I do. So that what's left, especially if you're recording or streaming that, what's left is just the people that are actually engaged, staring in there. As much as I appreciate them for trying to participate, but I mean, for me, if they're like wandering around, I don't need their camera on. Okay, so I would definitely recommend that, or you yourself do that. And mute attendees on entry and lock their controls. You can set that up in advance too, by the way, from Zoom's settings page, so that you don't have to do it during the meeting. It's just the meeting settings already include that. Just be careful that you don't create something like turn off all webcams, and then all of a sudden, like, they go to turn on their webcams during the meeting and they cannot because you've turned it on in advance and you've locked them out. So I usually allow freedom of that, so that when they come in, because I like them to come in and say hi, and then I'll just mute them right after that. So again, that's the beauty of your wingman. Okay. Muting attendees on entry and locking their controls, talked about that. Turn off notifications. I find that to be very annoying when you're with someone and you can hear like bing, bing on their computer. So figure out how to turn off your notifications on your phone or whatever, so you're not disturbing people. Yeah, no doubt, Shirley. Clean your background or use virtual background. So you'll notice in this case, I'm here in my office. I'm not using a virtual background, but let's show Kristen if we could. Kristen, jump in and let's show Kristen. So Kristen, you will see, is using a virtual background. And the thing that I love about her background is you see how it really brings her close to the camera. And then maybe Kristen, turn off your background for a moment and just
turn off the background. Or
yeah,
do you just show the green screen?
Yeah, just show them the green screen so they can see what you have.
Sure.
So she's using a green screen. That's why you'll notice it's so crystal clear. Whereas for me, I can also use a virtual background. So I'll go here now and I could use the same background, but you'll notice, you see how it's got some funny, weird things. You can sort of see my chair and like right there, suddenly my microphone appears, and you won't get any of that with a green screen. So that's the beauty of that. So that's why, unless I'm actually running a green screen, I will rarely use a virtual background. But I've also chosen to go with cleaning up. I don't have all clutter. I've designed my back area here so it actually looks nice. This is the blurred version. So if you have a not so bad background and you don't want to use a virtual background, then you might consider using the blurred version. This makes me feel like Elmo in Sesame Street or something, where there's like me kind of poking out in here. So you will notice that a lot of YouTubers and pro streamers, they now use a background. They will rarely use a virtual background. They'll use just a beautiful background. Like they will go out and, I don't know what's the word for it, Kristen, but they'll decorate it and put special lighting in there.
They'll stage it.
Stage it. Thank you. That's the word. So that's something to consider there. And, you know, by the way, another common thing that we make, common mistake we make too, by the way, and I make this a lot, and I've been doing it earlier tonight, is I look at the screen. Like right now I'm looking at Kristen and I'm not looking at the camera. Whereas if I look instead at the camera eye, as you can see now, I'm actually looking at you. So the only challenge could be if Kristen's looking at the camera eye and I'm looking at the camera eye, we're not actually looking at each other. So during a meeting, if it's just the two of you, you tend to kind of look at each other. It is what it is. But I did discover there's this neat little camera you could buy that actually hangs down, and the camera is in the middle of the monitor. So that way you can actually stare straight at the monitor and talk. And the beauty about that is if you want to record videos and run a teleprompter, you can do that. So that is another thing. I think the looking at the camera eye is not quite as much of a panic unless, you know, you're like doing a monologue or you specifically need to make sure that people are really feeling you or something like that. So with that, let's move back, continue on to this checklist here. And I think that would be it there. Let's maybe find out who here stages. Go ahead and share if you could. Who here stages their backgrounds? And I got to get my chat. That's the one challenge with three screens is sometimes some of the stuff will disappear on you. There it is. So Ellie's got a teleprompter app. Yeah, that's super handy. So Joyce, the blurred background, I use that by when I go to the settings under the video camera option there, there's an option for virtual background. And then one of the options is none. And then the other one is blurred background. And then it's all the virtual backgrounds. And I would like to point this out to you guys. So in YFP, okay, when you go here to the Business Center and Business Files, this is where you're going to find all the Zoom backgrounds that we make for you. So I will just show you how to find that right over here. I'm going to scoot over here. By the way, if you guys notice some presentations disappear, we are putting them back as we are updating them. Here you go. So we've got, this is up here is just what's new, but we have colors and patterns. And then we have homes and offices. And we also have outdoors and nature, tropical, and then business focused, wellness focused. So, and then of course you can also have our team make a design just specially for you if you'd like. Okay, so let's just get into leveraging Zoom's mobile app real quick here. So Kristen was good enough to do some screenshots. This is an iPhone, and you'll notice the UI is very similar to actually the desktop. It's shrunk. So you'll see here, you've got the ability to view your participants. Over here, you can mute and start video and share content. So that's all pretty self-explanatory. And then this is where you would invite. Okay, you could record to the cloud through the little, this could be called a burger menu if it's turned the other way around. The three dots there, menu, I don't even know what's the term of it, just the three dots, I guess. You could chat. And then this is where, keep in mind, you can decide who to chat with, and you can insert emojis. So there you go. Let's try that, gang. Let's go to the chat for a minute. And can you do it here? Can you do an emoji? Fire an emoji if you can, gang.
You
I don't see
can,
the
but
emoji.
they're limited. So
Yeah,
if
I don't
you're
see
on
them.
mobile, it's much more functional.
Right. So mobile seems to be where the emojis. I just threw in that, and that's not an emoji. So there was maybe in a webinar you don't have it. I do know in the meeting you have. It's like, what do they call it?
Reactions.
Yeah, reactions. Thank you for that. So that's kind of fun. So that's just something to consider when it comes to. There you go. Keith is throwing me a love symbol, but it's a 3. So there you go. Oh, there we go. Jeannie's got it figured out. There's an icon that actually showed up. So you could probably go to like icon finder, emoticon finder, and copy and paste something like that in there. But so that's just kind of fun to make the meetings more fun, especially if you're doing them a lot. I think there's something that should be said as well before I go back to sharing my screen. And that is keep in mind when you're prospecting, your prospects themselves may not have ever used Zoom before. If that's the case, you may consider just simply doing a video chat on Facebook, and then just warming up conversation and stuff like that, and deal with Zoom like another time. Because you and I may be used to using Zoom and hopping in Zoom. Luckily, that may be one of the benefits of this last crazy year and a half, is that a lot more people know how to use Zoom than ever before. So it's probably less of a challenge than it used to be, as more and more people will have already have it, the app downloaded and stuff like that. But just do whatever's the easiest when it comes to prospecting in the beginning. Obviously, if you need to share your screen, you're going to have to use Zoom. So you can share your screen on Facebook, but I don't believe you can share it through the phone app. I've never tried that, actually. I do not believe you can. So yeah, there you go. And that's true, David. So with that said, which Zoom plan should you choose? And again, by the way, if you've come in a little bit late, share with us if you could. Are you new? Like, I'd love to give you a shout out. Anyone else here that's new, you've never been to one of our webinars, or you're new to YFP, or you've never even heard of YFP before, go ahead and give us a chat, and we'd love to give you a shout out for that. So which Zoom plan to choose? So again, we talked about earlier, free, also known as basic over here. Let's see if I can get my little emoticon on here. Okay, so free is obviously beautiful because it's free. I run a free account as well as our enterprise account here. And the reason for that is there may be times when someone in the office needs to use the enterprise plan, and I just need to meet with like one person. So with free, you can meet with someone. It's this should be changed here, gang. Let's just notice that this is not up to 100. That is incorrect. Actually, you could do it up to 100, but it's only for 40 minutes. So I guess it is correct, but moderately. It's you and one other person, unlimited time. As soon as you add a third or more, now you can only do 40 minutes. So, I mean, really, do you want to drag 100 people into a meeting and it gets booted off? Probably not. So it does have the meetings module, but that's it. There's just pretty much nothing else other than that. Okay. Great for just some one-to-one meetings. So it's got its place. Then the Pro, which is what most people have if they're on a paid plan, is a great price, up to 100 people in a meeting, but there's no webinar module. You can stream on Facebook, so that's cool. And then let's go here. So the enterprise plan. So if you get it through us, if you have a Freedom Builder subscription, so you have an active paid plan with YFP, then you can get it as low as $29.99. We also bundle it in our ultimate bundle plan. The beautiful thing about that is you never need to worry about running out of space for meetings or webinars. The most we've ever had in a webinar is 600 people, so we've never come close to busting the 1,000. So, but we used to have a problem like every one of our webinars where we could only have 100 people, and inevitably we would max out the 100, and then there'd be people because it would say, webinar's full and they can't get in, and they're pinging us and messaging us. So 100 was never enough. That's the beauty about the webinar module. It has everything here, as you can see, meetings, webinars, stream on Facebook. And then let's move to the next slide. And you will see here that, again, free is no. is this. This is the big one right there, unlimited cloud recording. It also integrates with our system. And let me just show you what I mean by that. So here, you'll notice there's a little Zoom camera. Okay. When you click on that, you can start a meeting from there and you don't have to bookmark it. It's integrated. Once you just type in your account ID, you just pop it in there and you can start a meeting right from YFP. And in YFP 7.0 that is launching in the fall, that the integration is even, we're taking it up another level. And this will be the beauty of that integration, which is important for you guys to know. And that is, we're going to make it so that it won't be ready in the fall, but we'll be able to start building it once our new framework is ready in the fall. And that is that once someone registers for your meeting, for your webinar, the mothership webinars we put on for you guys, instead of them having to go to their email to click a link, and this will be the same for you guys like tonight, all you got to do is go into the dashboard. So for them, they'll go into the resource center and then they'll just see a link that's just like enter, click. For one, it drives them back to your resource center, which is what you want. And it's just super easy. They don't have to go scrolling through their feed, through their emails, trying to find that link again, or it went into their inbox or their spam box or whatever. So it'll be a lot easier for you to join a meeting because it'll be click and register and then click and enter. So that's the beauty about that when you're using our plan. Okay, so we'll just circle back here. And then you also get access to our support. Now Zoom is blown up, so you're not going to get live support anymore like you used to. Because we are partner resellers with Zoom, we get special service so we can go in and actually talk to human beings. You're not going to get that. Now you're going to get a robot messenger thing. Not to say you could never get live support, but it's a lot harder than it used to be. And you're not going to get someone who's going to actually walk you through and coach you and explain things. And, we are Zoom experts. So we know not just Zoom from, like a technical perspective, but like how it actually would fit into your business model. And you're not going to get that with Zoom. So that's the other beautiful thing about that. So why get Zoom through YFP? So again, choosing to get Zoom through us gives you several features and benefits that you can't get through Zoom without spending hundreds of dollars a month. And I'll show you why that is, the hundreds of dollars a month, because even Maura was like, but it says here you can get enterprise plan for only, I can't remember what the price was. It was like $200 or something like that. But only if you do it in a year package, and you have to have a minimum of 51 licenses. So bottom line, it's just out of financial reach for everyone unless you're getting it through a reseller like us. So here's what you're going to get. Customizable personal link. Okay, so this brands you again, like you can see here. So it's zoom.us/ and then your name. That's the thing I was telling you guys about earlier, the personal ID, how they can just type in, your Freedom Project or your name to get them in the room. And then they're also going to get premier support from our coaching experts. You can also just get our onboarding coaching, which is a 1 hour or 30 minutes to 1 hour piece when you enroll in Zoom with us, or you can get a more extensive coaching plan if you want paid coaching. So you can do that as well. And then, by the way, the beauty about coaching, one-on-one coaching, is that we can go in using another application so that we can see your Zoom, all of your Zoom, and then we can point out to you, this is what this is what that is, that you're not going to be able to get on your own. Because normally you can't see the other person's view. Once you're sharing, you're not seeing the same thing that they're seeing. Also, unlimited cloud storage. So we talked about that. You're never going to run out of space. And this is where Zoom gets expensive. If you want that, it's an extra $40 to $500 for that. You also get the webinar module, and this is another very expensive piece that I'll show you in a moment. So that's what we're doing now, is a webinar. Then integration. So we've integrated Zoom into our system, as I showed you a bit earlier, and it's going to be even more integrated coming up soon. So you get that. And then, of course, special bonuses. You get to save on our coaching program. So you'll save $100 on that. And you get also access to our presentations. We've got a library of PowerPoint presentations, and then virtual backgrounds. You can download any of our custom backgrounds that I showed you earlier, and we're putting in new ones all the time. And then also part of that is the new user onboarding process that we put you through. So we want to make sure that everyone is set up to win. So we do require that anybody who joins the enterprise plan goes through the launch process so you get the most out of Zoom. And that way we help you configure it. We get you transferred. We get everything going. It's also crazy simple to transfer. It's just a one button click. The only time we've ever had a transfer issue is if somebody already has meetings pre-scheduled and they've sent that link out. Those links won't work once you transfer over. So we just wait till you're done your meeting cycle and then we move you over. So your success coach is going to make sure your new Zoom license is provisioned, customize your personal ID. They'll show you how to access your bonuses and integrate your account into the YFP back office, teach you how to invite and things like that and share. So basically what it does is your very first month's payment is the onboarding fee. And then your regular monthly payment begins after that. So how does our plan compare? So again, just to circle back, you can see free and then pro and then us. So really the difference is an extra $15 a month. If, you know, for most people, you pretty much got to be on pro if you want any kind of a meeting more than you and one other person. So therefore the only really difference is $15 a month, right? Because unless you're going from $0 to $30, then that may seem like a wider spread, but no matter what, as soon as you have to meet with anyone more than 2 people, you're going to have to move up to a minimum the $14.99 plan. And therefore it's not too far to go from there to us. Okay. So we talked about all that comes with that. And this is just a little bit of price comparison when it comes to getting the webinar module. So you cannot get the webinar module without doing this. The only way you can do it is you have to get 51 licenses. So it would cost you $3,400 a year with, look at that, a $680 savings to get the webinar module. That's the only way you can do it. So you have to get it through a reseller like us, or you have to buy it in these plans like that. You can buy extra recording between $40. It starts at $40. So if you're already paying $15 plus $40, you're already more money than we are. So again, it's kind of a no-brainer to get to the plan that we offer. Okay, so this is what you'll pay if you're a Freedom Builder subscriber. So your first month, we do have a promo on right now, and it actually, this special promo ends tonight at midnight. So it's normally $147 the promo, but we wanted to give you guys a special webinar promo that if you'll join our Zoom plan tonight, you'll save an extra $50. You'll get on for $100 month 1, and then month 2 after that will be $29.99 if you have a Freedom Builder subscription, or $39.99 if you just want Zoom alone and you don't want to use our other services. Okay. So normally it's $147 is the discount, but we are giving you an extra special discount tonight. So it's a one-time offer and it ends at midnight if you'll get Zoom tonight. Okay. So $100 your first night or your first month. And then it's just either $29.99 or $39.99 a month after that. So it's valued at over $300 a month because of how much you'd normally be paying for all the extra plugins and whatnot that you get with us, but you can get it for as low as $29.99. Now, if you've already got Zoom, you might want to consider one of our other products or services. But if you are not ready for Zoom, you don't need to go to the enterprise plan level yet, and you don't have Freedom Builder either, I would encourage you guys reach out and request a guided tour of the Explore Opportunity funnel. Or, by the way, type in the messenger now if you'd like and say, if you just want to talk to us, you need some advice on whether you should get the enterprise plan or not, type it in there and we can have someone reach out to you right away and we can help you. And I will also stay on this webinar for a few extra minutes at the end and answer any questions that you have. But if you don't choose to do Zoom at this moment at that level, and you're not with YFP, as you know, you don't have a Freedom Builder subscription, take a guided tour and let us show you the 3-step process that we have that'll help you find and guide a curious prospect, business prospect, from curious to serious using the Explore Opportunity funnel. And we will have someone personally guide you through and let you see the video tour that we have. That is the new wave when it comes to building a network marketing business, is sending someone a video and then guiding them either, on Zoom, being right there with them, watching the videos with them, or giving them the link and then letting them do it. And you just sort of nurture that journey through Messenger, depending on which way you want to approach it or what they'll let you do with them. But a simple tour where everything is laid out in a step-by-step format is the absolute best way for enrolling new prospects, because they don't take in too much information too soon. So reach out for that. And there's a couple ways to do that. And by the way, this is also what'll get you in at the best price on Zoom, is if you subscribe to one of our Freedom Builder plans. And you could do that by going to the links that you see here, yourfreedomproject.com/start, and you'll see plans and pricing, or trial, or contact us at help. Okay, so you can either take a test drive or subscribe, contact us. We love it if we can spend some time working with you before you guys have to make any decisions, so we can help you make the best choice for you and your business, or answer questions and see if it's a fit at all. You can view all of our products by going to yourfreedomproject.com/shop. You could join a live event by going to /events, or you could go to the Help Center and get help at yourfreedomproject.com/help. So with that, I'm going to hang in here for a couple minutes and answer any final questions that you guys might have. And hopefully Kristen is here, jump in back with me here. Have we had any questions? Now, Kristen is one of our expert coaches who's going to be doing Zoom training. And Kristen is a pro Zoomer because she does it every day. And she puts on webinars and does the whole thing. So if you would like to have just a discovery call, which is kind of spitballing, if you will, and just, talk a little bit about what are your plans, or how does this work, or is it right for me? If you'd like that, just go ahead and type in the chat. You can just type it into all panelists, or type it in directly to myself or Kristen, or just message us directly if you want to put in your email and your phone number so that we could reach out to you. We'd love that. And then I'll just answer a couple questions here for a couple minutes. So again, just if we could just put in the link one more time to get the Zoom. So those of you that want to get Zoom on the special tonight, so you've got until midnight, and we would give you till midnight in Pacific. So for you in the East, that's like 2 in the morning or whatever. We will allow you to have that for the $97 price in Zoom. So you will not pay the $147, which will be, by the way, be going back to $297 after that. Thanks, Cheryl. Great to see you here. And do I have any questions? Ellie says, when I start recording, it announces that. Yeah, you know what? That I don't know.
You can't turn it off. At least not that I found yet. It's just to let the other people know so that they don't get sneak recorded.
Yeah, I think it's better anyways, because then you're going to be in compliance with all laws when it comes to recording. And some people, like I had one lady who became very angry when she found out that we were recording. So we turned off the recording. And so I always let people know in advance. If you're just with one person, totally you'd want to say that. If it's a group meeting, people are used to things like that being recorded, but I just keep that in mind. Mary is saying, do you have to have a paid Zoom account to get the virtual backgrounds? I do believe you do. I did not see, there's no virtual backgrounds to my knowledge. Let me just circle back on my chart for a minute here. And
while you're doing that, I had a couple questions in the Q&A that we typed out answers, but I think these will be helpful for other people too. Kirsten was asking, does the wing person answer questions or tell the host about comments? They definitely can.
Yes.
That's one thing that I'll do with Jody, or Anne or Grace will do as well. So it's handy to have that person watching the comments, and you'll notice that I'll chat back and forth with you guys too, so Jody can focus on presenting. So yeah, it's definitely something that you can do.
And you've been doing great. And by the way, and just as a helpful tip, what we do here in-house is if Kristen sees something that she needs to tell me, like something is not on, or you're not sharing, or whatever, she'll do it in all capital letters. So we yell at each other. Otherwise, it doesn't grab your eye, because, it won't stand out whether it was Kristen typing to me or someone else. Whereas if it's in all capital letters, I know I better look at that. So that's something that a helpful tip for you guys, if you have a co-host wingman with you, is use capital letters. You can also directly message each other, but it'll still be in the feed of everyone else's chat. And by the way, I'm pretty sure you could probably get the virtual background even on a free one, but don't quote me on that. I'd have to go in and look at that to see if that's the case. But I do believe they would allow that.
And just so that you guys can get a feel for what it looks like when someone types in all caps.
There you go. Yeah, it's how we communicate. Yeah, exactly. Because there are times where we forgot to share, or our mic is too hot, or something like that. And that is a big one, is having someone who's managing that chat. As you guys saw earlier, you don't need to wait. I don't always have to answer because someone else here can be doing that. So, so we like that.
Mhm. And
You have anything else? Go ahead.
yes, Allison was wondering what the onboarding pays for. We know that you mentioned that, but if you'd be so kind as to recap that.
Yeah, let me circle back to that one moment here. So basically, onboarding gets you onboarded. And this is what we will do. So the onboarding is, we will make sure your license is provisioned, because we have to go through some special things to get you set up. This isn't like a normal Zoom because we are a reseller. So, but you don't have to worry about any of that. That's what we handle for you. Then we help you customize your personal ID. So that's where we'll go in the back and we'll show you how to set that up. We will also make sure your account gets transferred over without any hiccups. We'll show you how to access your bonuses. We will help you integrate your account into your YFP back office, and then teach you some stuff depending on how much you already know. So that's where Kristen or one of our coaches will work with you for a bit of time. It's usually 30 minutes to an hour, and just to make sure that you know, depending on what your level of Zoom is. So obviously, if you don't know anything, then we're just going to give you the most basic of things to make sure that you're set up to win. The reason why we do onboarding is, in the past, when people would subscribe to one of our services, if there was some complexity to that service and they didn't get anyone to help them, or they got just very basic help that we could afford to give them on our limited resources, then they didn't really get success with it. And then they stopped using it and told someone else about it. And it wasn't good for either of us. So we thought, if we make sure that you're trained properly, then you'll get the best success, and you'll thank us for it, and you'll tell other people about it. And it's a win-win. So that's why we do that. Do we have any other questions, Kristen?
Let's see here. There was just a couple questions regarding our Zoom plan, and I can handle this. One was, do you have to have a YFP membership to get Zoom through YFP? Nope. The pricing will just be a little bit different. It's $10 in the difference per month.
Yeah, so let's clarify that. It's $29.99 for if you're with the Freedom Builder subscription. That's the one that gets you the newsletters, the live events, all of that. But if you don't want that, that's okay. We got lots of people who use Zoom through us and nothing else. And that's the $39.99 plan. And Eileen asked about bonuses. So the bonuses are going to be like the virtual backgrounds, the access to the PowerPoint presentations, the access to the live support, I think is probably the most valuable bonus. Getting, having someone that you can reach out to who can provide insights and will actually Zoom with you to explain things. Well, it's not just ticketing back and forth, things like that if you want it. So, of course, bonuses in the sense of just feature functionality with the Zoom, such as the meeting ID, the ability to customize it, and then having the webinar module and the unlimited recording. So I guess those aren't really bonuses, though. Those are just more part of what comes with it. Thanks for that, Eileen.
And that's all the questions that I have at the moment, or that I see at the moment.
Okay. And I'm just looking to see if, yeah. All right, so with that, I think we've covered it. Hopefully you guys maybe could share in the group, what did you like best about tonight's training? Or you could just share it right now. What's the one aha thing that you learned from tonight you didn't know, or you feel is your takeaway that will allow you to go and actually, put some rubber to the road from what you got on this class? If you never did another thing with us, what would be that? Feel free to just take a minute and share that. So Kirsten, we've got a few different plans. It will depend on your contact limit size. Kirsten, would it be okay to get your email and phone number? You could just message Kristen directly. If you're not sure how to message someone directly, down at the bottom in the chat, you'll see the option to change it where it says all panelists or everyone, and just message Kristen directly. And could you put in your phone number and email, and then we'll make sure we reach out to you and let's talk about pricing and plans for you, Kristen. To be honest, we definitely prefer if we can walk you guys through the prospecting process before we talk pricing and plans, because we want you to feel what it's like to actually be your prospect, because we don't talk to them about pricing and plans till the end either. And then that way it all makes way more sense. So there you go. Jasmine learned about the green icon. Yeah, actually, Elaine, who used to work with us, is the one who showed me that. And now I use that all the time. So thanks for sharing that, Jasmine. Anyone else with any final questions or comments of their aha moments or takeaways from tonight? Go ahead and put that in there. Otherwise, please go into the Facebook group and add your comments to some of the updates we put in there recently, as we have put in an updated mock-up for the dashboard for 7.0. Would love your feedback and some other things like that. Okay, great. Thank you, Kirsten. And anyone else who would like us to reach out to them and have a discovery call, it's free, and we'll have a walkthrough with you to help you learn more about either Zoom or YFP services or something like that. We'd love to talk to you. I can say this to you, Kirsten, by the way, for anyone listening, that with YFP, that depending on whether you're a team builder or a team leader or a builder, our plans are structured that way, and we'll help you figure that out. So with that, okay, Joyce, thank you for sharing that, Joyce. Anyone else who wants a discovery call, or if you want us to reach out, go ahead and type in your email.